Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news video, Drew McIntyre just bulldozed the entire WWE roster.
We've got a lot of information on the SummerSlam Night 1 and 2 lineups.
WWE's original plans for Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss.
And could legit Layla Hirsch become a WWE referee?
That's an interesting one. I'm Andy.
I'm Michael.
And this is the news. More of a wrestling-centric video this afternoon after we spoke for about 12 minutes about Ozzy Osbourne this morning. If you want to check out that video, the link will be at the end of this one. But right now, we're going back into the silly pro wrestling world, my friends, because Drew McIntyre has been on Impulsive, and he has said all kinds of things.
Yeah, saw this.
Yeah, this is Logan Paul's show. So, there's a bunch of stuff from this show, right, that's actually really funny. I think he called Travis Scott a little name for a bad word for ruining the WrestleMania main event, doing a 6-minute run-in, all of this stuff.
Yeah, but Fiend. So it's like, I think that's a score draw.
Yeah.
Fiend's a great contribution to the culture.
I mean, I'd say it's one of the worst songs of all time.
Best ever, actually. I checked.
But kind of
best song ever.
Kind of in a funny way.
Yeah.
He also made a comment about Rhea Ripley's rear end. That's quite. He said the only thing that goes more viral than me is blah blah blah. I think the most fun comments are about wrestlers not going to the gym enough. Let's talk about that. Oh, he's clearly taking
in that prime that he was drinking. Was he?
I think he was a little bit. He was maybe a bit of vitamin T in there, perhaps. But tenants, of course. But yeah, he's clearly taking the piss to an extent here. But also, he's huge and jacked. So hey, whatever. Let me just read this entire ass paragraph. It's going to take ages, but it's pretty fun. The more we work with each other, how I can grow this McIntyre, and the more you put me in those situations, especially WWE, drives me nuts when I see some of our guys on some of these huge, public platforms, huge TV shows, because these days, no offense, but 85% of our guys don't look like they should be in WWE on Netflix. And my buddies say, go, contact me, go, yo, I just turned on the wrestling for a while to see what you're up to. It's cool to see people. Oh, Logan Paul's on there. He's killing it. Yeah, Roman Reigns, what a freaking star he is on screen. Comes right off the screen. You're a freaking giant. There's these other people who look like they should be serving me fast food, McDonald's or whatever. And let's say I could kick their ass. That's one of his friends saying that.
Yeah.
It takes me out of it. And I'm like, they're good at wrestling and eventually you'll connect with them. But I'm not going to watch it long enough to change the channel. It's like, Jesus, guys, get in the freaking gym. At least get something that grabs your attention. So on this same show, which it's not exactly appointment viewing for me personally, but on this show, he also said that he's undergoing a bit of a physical transformation himself. Mm-hmm. He's on a 6,000 calorie a day diet.
I mean, me too, but we have different goals.
Yeah. I mean, I have probably similar goals. They just 6,000 calories of ice cream is a bit different to chicken and broccoli. But he said he's actually put on 15 pounds of muscle, which is insane. Because, when I look at wrestlers and I think that guy really needs to put on some muscle, the first guy I think of is Drew McIntyre.
Old skinny
obviously.
Reiki Drew.
Yeah, he's built like the BFG in a lot of ways. But this reminds me of that time sort of when Cody Rhodes came out and said body shaming is good, which is wild. Obviously, look, body shaming is absolutely whack, and the sign of a person with a crippling inferiority complex, and someone who wants to hide behind a screen a lot of the time. But Drew McIntyre is a heel and he's working, is my conclusion to this.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he's got obviously this current link with Logan Paul ahead of the SummerSlam match, and it's now would be the time for them two to appear like they're on the same page about all these sort of issues. I hadn't really considered it as a work. I just thought he was kind of in the mood to just shoot a little bit. Yeah. But an element of this, I do like it.
Maybe he is.
Well, I do like it when a wrestler basically takes such a vast majority of the locker room to task for a thing that they perceive to be important. I love that story that came out about Kenny Omega that was like, I wouldn't have hired about 90% of you, whatever it was. I might be slightly out on the figure, but that was the gist. And like, I want to hire most of you if it was my company. And like Drew's saying that about people's bodies. He's also, I guess, informed by his own personal experiences. You know, Drew McIntyre, having had that kind of failed first run, one of the many changes that he made and has said on record countless times was to change the way he looked ahead of his return to WWE. He kind of dressed for the job he wanted, to use the cliche. Like, he did change his body size and shape and everything from the guy that left to the guy that he always had an amazing look. He was always been a big guy, but definitely beefed out a lot when he was on the indies. It kind of transformed his working style alongside it, became a harder hitter guy as a result of having all this extra kind of meat on him. So, yeah, if nothing else, if it is a criticism that's legit, it's informed by his own lived-in experiences, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And we all have perceptions of what our favourite wrestlers we'd like them ideally to look like and stuff, and I guess Drew is the same as well. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's just working, or at very least a way to get some of these quotes aggregated by the likes of us for, I'll get on, I'll do your show, Logan Paul, and typically I can say I'll do just the right thing to go viral. Drew's had a good run of that over the last couple of years, so he knows what he's doing with socials.
Bored at work, lol, of course. Like, is the guy, he spoke about that on the show here as well. But yeah, for me, like, I don't know if he said these words to be seriously analysed, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it anyway. For me, wrestling is best when there's a variety of different body types and physiques and people who look different. If it was just like 70 jacked people, I think it'd be boring, personally. I think it's good that we have skinnier wrestlers, we have larger wrestlers, we have massive jacked people. Like someone like Zack Sabre Jr. looks good because he's quite lean and he's tall and like he's tying people in knots. It works to his style and his image. And he's a guy actually who has put on a little bit, well, not even a little bit, like a decent amount of muscle over the years too. But yeah, like his style and the way he carries himself suits being a skinnier lad.
Yeah.
He's a smarmy British dude because that's his character. That's how he projects himself. Similarly, a guy like Drew works better because he's huge and jacked and scary. The space for everything, man. Like you always go back to. For me, I always go back to like. Stories from certain people who used to run certain wrestling promotions telling people like Kevin Owens stuff about their physique when actually I think Kevin Owens is perfect. I wouldn't change a single thing about that man. And like Yokozuna, awesome. There should be space for different body types in pro wrestling is what I'm saying. And I think, again, like just to reiterate, I think body shaming is absolutely little man behavior. But I also think that personally, I think he's taking the piss and just getting his name in the headlines a little bit here. It's
pretty smart, isn't it, as well, to do that as well.
He knows what he's doing.
He does. Like, I would probably say that, like, 76% of the roster is fine. But I would say that's probably my favourite percentage.
It is.
Because you get that off NordVPN.
4 months for free, up to a $50 Amazon gift card if you sign up right now. This offer is open only until the end of the month. You don't have a lot of time. Sign up right now. Link is in the description and the pinned comment. Look after yourself. Protect yourself online. If you're American, you're in Europe, you want to watch your favorite shows, flip that button. You can go on. You can check out all your favorites. This is awesome.
It is a great offering. And so is SummerSlam 2025. 2 nights coming from MetLife Stadium, the first ever 2-night stadium SummerSlam. It could be a sign of things to come, I guess, as they attempt to make all the big 4 2-nighters or all the sort of stadium-sized events. It's WrestleMania 35. We were there the last time that WWE hit MetLife. With it being 2 nights, it might finish a bit earlier than it was when we got out of there. But,
oh boy, yeah.
So yeah, don't dread it maybe in terms of your transport, but make your plans. But nonetheless, yeah, if you are obviously attending or looking forward to watching, WWE are going to be laying out the official cards in the upcoming days. But we might have a few kind of clues about where this is going to be looking laid out. Obviously, Gunther and CM Punk, the night 1 main event, while Cody and John Cena for the night 2-1 for the respective world and WWE titles. But also now Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria's Intercontinental title. Last shot for Lyra Valkyria, no count out, no disqualification, scheduled for the Saturday portion of the event. Obviously, plans are potentially subject to change. We don't have a date, for example, currently for the Logan Paul Jelly Roll big celebrity tag match with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. But it looks as if WWE kind of completed the card with the latest announcement as well that Roman Reigns and Jey Uso will take on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed as part of the undercard. AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio also added on Monday for the Intercontinental title. So everything looks like it's dropping into place, but those are your big main events, and yeah, Becky and Lyra are currently scheduled for night 1.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's bad about this show is I hate the stadium. Like
MetLife was a tricky one, wasn't it?
Yeah, getting out of it was wow. That was one of the worst times ever.
Hard to get there on foot. Just a bit of a tip. Hard to get there. You pretty much got to taxi your way in and train your way out. Or whatever. It's not the easiest.
We got the train from something called Sea Caucus. It was crazy. The British mind cannot comprehend not walking to the stadium.
Yeah.
But I think the lineup looks better than WrestleMania, honestly.
Great.
And I think that it's a response to the reception to WrestleMania. I think that Paul Levesque logged on the day after Mania, saw that people weren't too happy with the John Cena main event in particular, and thought, okay, well, I'm just going to give you a good SummerSlam to compensate. So, lineup looks fun. Lots of big names on there, lots of big stars. Jelly Roll, the legend, kicking it in. A guy who actually I hadn't heard of until wrestling happened, and then I looked him up, and he's got like 100 million Spotify listens a month.
Big deal over there.
Yeah, and also shout-outs for the weight loss. That's a hell of an achievement. As a fellow struggler through that world. I respect that immensely. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. Putting the Roman tag on there is cool as well. That could even be an opener, like a hot opener.
Yeah.
You want to open with a 6-minute ring entrance, brother? Here you go. But being facetious aside, Roman is like the most over wrestler of decades.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be, and Jey Uso obviously as well. So yeah, it's gonna be good.
If you fancy a little bit of an empty speculation based on these matches as well, if Seth Rollins was going to cash in at SummerSlam, the fact that Becky Lynch is potentially on night 1 means that business might be conducted there. You can hover over both title matches, but the Gunther CM Punk one.
You saying Seth Rollins is going to cash in on Becky Lynch?
That's right, yes. Becky Lynch is going to retain, and then there's going to be a marital cash in, a first time ever. But yes, the Lynch-Rollins bus will be pulling in on Saturday, so Seth at least might be around or lurking on those ones, even if he's on his crutches. So it might be one to consider for Saturday night, if indeed a cash-in is forthcoming at SummerSlam.
I hope Becky wins and she does it wearing red and yellow gear.
Yeah,
just like she did on Raw the other week. It's good. It's a good bit of needling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good stuff. If that's happening, Lyra should bump around like Shawn Michaels, to be honest.
Yes!
Why not?
Oh, I'm into that.
Why not?
That was a SummerSlam class. Oh my God, it's 20 years to the day.
Yeah.
It'll be 20 years since SummerSlam 2005. We've done it.
Yeah.
Good thinking. That's good sleuthing. So yes, Lyra and Becky is going to play out like Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels from SummerSlam 2005. Happy 60th birthday to Shawn Michaels yesterday.
60th?
6-0, by the way. Shawn Michaels, for those that are old enough to remember, is now roughly the same age as Jose Lothario was when he was his manager in his WWE title.
Wow.
There you go.
Time is a flat circle.
It is indeed.
That's from that show, isn't it? True Cop.
The Big Bang Theory.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. They go down the woods and the guy's there and it's all scary and stuff. It's interesting.
I like the Big Bang Theory. It's that one, isn't it, where they like all the scientists and the sort of college nerds get together and like figure out how the guy met his mother.
That's Chernobyl.
Yeah. I always get these two mixed up.
They met in the reactor core. It's wild.
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
There was that big sort of accident, and then out of it came Tony Soprano.
Hope we wait.
Yeah. He went to that chair shop and he was like, I guess I'm going to have to play the Game of Thrones.
The many saints of Noah's Ark. We know all the TV shows.
All 6 of them.
All those shows are better than the Beatles as well. Speaking of things that are happening in WWE, something that was actually pulled off of SummerSlam that was originally on the cards was Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss. This is according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Apparently, WWE were going to have that on the show, but they actually pivoted away and changed course when they saw that the tag team was starting to get over and starting to do well. So yeah, I guess the kind of peak of this was probably at Evolution, right? Where Chaz was pop of the night.
Top baby face.
It was awesome. Good for her. Especially after like opening her soul in that Players Tribune article like a week earlier. But yeah, this is something that has taken off to a surprising degree. Now, odd couple stuff, it's nothing new in wrestling. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades.
Yeah.
And you know inevitably they split and they feud. That's how it works. But when something gets over, you should absolutely ride the wave. If this had happened and they'd gotten over and they just ripped them apart like last week, it wouldn't have made any sense. You're going against the flow of your audience. That's not supposed to be how this whole thing works. Wrestling is about listening, adapting, changing things on the fly, and your original plan can look a whole lot different to what you initially. I almost did Neo Sky there. Can you do that? I'm not good at that. That's better than mine. Yeah, I can't do it.
I'm not good.
But yeah, there you go. So they were originally going to do Alexa and Charlotte. At SummerSlam, I think the tag team's probably got at least a few more months in it. And then we'll see if anything goes haywire. I don't think it will, though. They're really over.
Yeah, a bit of a pleasant surprise, really, this team getting over the way they have. It did, to your point, feel like it existed to be broken up for a big singles match down the line. Alexa and Charlotte are kind of two of the... I guess like the locker room pillars in terms of this division. Like Alexa was one of the ones alongside the Four Horsewomen that in that 2015-2016 big little talent that came up from NXT. She was one of the surprise packages really that wasn't expected to get as over as she did. And then bringing them together has been such a pleasant surprise. And I often think now, what number in particular was WWE inspired by to make a creative decision? And you even see that T-shirt that came out where it's like, we're not friends, and then on the back I think it says allies of convenience and stuff. You're seeing them pop up in the crowd as well. They're getting great responses when they're entering together. Charlotte got them a tag title match on last week's SmackDown and then asked Alexa to accompany at ringside and said, will you be my cheerleader? And Alexa kind of begrudgingly accepted and came out with Derek Pem Pims. Like instead of
shouting back to her roots in WWE.
This is it, right? So like it's like a sort of modern version of her old character, and Lily was gone.
Yes.
And you wonder if like that's Alexa moving forward from that, if there's going to be no Wyatt affiliation, and instead like these black PMPMs become like part of the act instead as Charlotte's cheerleader, but as her partner, they're not friends. This stuff is getting over in a big way. SmackDown, I think, could do with that kind of that sort of fresher act. It does feel a staler of the two shows at the moment in WWE, and this was one of the outliers on last week's episode in particular. I don't think they'll beat the Judgment Day at SummerSlam. I think there is a sense that there is a Rhea Ripley Io Sky tag team match down the line that potentially opens the door for the Liv Morgan return. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley like having to potentially work together like as part of this Judgment Day thing. I don't think it's Charlotte and Alexa's time, but I'm glad they're sticking at it.
Yeah, you should do it. And like Alexa has a history of making the most of these partnerships for sure. You go all the way back to like her original affiliation with Blake and Murphy in NXT, where before she was just like what was she, like a pixie? blowing fairy dust out there, and then immediately she went evil and like started dressing like Dennis the Menace turned Freddy Krueger, and unlocked a new element of her personality. She's very good at making the most of these things, and
Nikki Cross got so much more out of that than you would imagine.
They did. Even like they got like just drinking coffee over for a bit. It's like what? Fair play. So no, she's very skilled at this. She makes the most of these partnerships, and look, the Wyatt stuff's going to be there. It's always going to be there. You can get to that eventually. I think you should ride this wave for a little bit longer, like a surfsman.
Sticking with women's wrestling, sticking with women's wrestling or women's refereeing here, we could be seeing somebody making the jump from the former to the latter, because Layla Hirsch, reportedly, according to Fightful, has been a person of interest to WWE, but potentially as a referee. Obviously, you may remember legit Layla Hirsch from AEW, a run there she had over a couple of years. Had a big injury that took her out for a long time and has like left the company now. But per this Fightful report, she's wrestled obviously a number of independent shows, but Fightful Select learned that WWE had reached out to Hirsch to communicate interest in a tryout, and the WWE sources revealed that the tryout was with the company as a referee. This communication was in mid-June, so relatively recently, but Fightful hadn't learned if it had been accepted or if the tryout had actually happened. The report does go on to note, and I think with some relevance here, that just because obviously somebody might come in as a referee, it doesn't necessarily mean the end of a wrestling career outright. Jessica Carr is currently working as a master wrestler, Calix on Evolve, having obviously kind of like documented her own fitness and pro wrestling journey while becoming one of the more prominent referees in WWE in recent times. And then there's been a couple of referees from NXT that have come in as Performance Center trainees that have taken that route and are gradually kind of getting onto the main roster themselves, both male and female. you know, it's easy, I think, to just sort of brush the referee task off as, not the job you wanted. But they're the third person in the ring for a reason, you know. They're not just there to count the three. They are there to like help thread the match together and pass messages on from the back or help communicate messages between the wrestlers. It is making use of extremely transferable skills. And, just look at Evolution. That extends to bumping, obviously, as well.
Charles Robinson as
well. Charles
well.
Robinson getting his sort of earning his keep over two particular massive bumps against John Cena and Goldberg. Jessica Carter, that wicked missile drop kick. They're still bumping around. This could be... It might be one to look out for. It might be one that kind of flies under the radar. Then one day you just have that Leo DiCaprio meme where you're like, that's Layla Hirsch.
Yeah, there she goes.
In a referee shirt. So
there she goes.
All the best to her if she goes for it, I suppose.
Yeah, and they've recruited wrestlers as referees in the past. Drake Wirtz, probably the most... he was Drake Younger, deathmatch wrestler before he joined the Fed, and then he became a referee. And I always thought that was an interesting change of career, to go from light tube guy to striped shirt guy. Obviously, his life has taken a few interesting turns over the years since then. But there was the story about them famously trying to recruit Thunder Rosa as a referee as well. So... Look, it's advantageous to enter that job with a wrestling background because you can play those bumping roles, as you say, but you can also keep yourself safe. Like, if someone comes flying at you, you might, like, unexpectedly, you'd know how to land and stuff like that. So there's myriad advantages, and if you're threading a match together, you understand the structure of it as a wrestler, you have that perspective. It probably helps a lot as well. Yeah, fair play to her if she goes for it. I always thought that Layla... I mean, she still is a promising wrestler. She had a very rough injury a couple of years ago that probably hampered her a bit. But also somebody, if she chooses instead to just keep wrestling, she can be a big benefit to the indie scene. She can obviously sign somewhere as well. Interesting career path, but ultimately a good one. I think that one missed opportunity I thought they should have done with Drake Wirtz at some point before the weird stuff happened. They should have done an angle, right, where someone was picking on the ref, right, a heel, like an Ethan Page or someone. Those eras didn't align. He's just a modern example. Like a sniveling heel, a point and smile guy. They're bullying this ref every week. It's like, making bad calls, blah, 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 in the same way that they used to do with Earl Hebner a lot.
Yes.
And finally, the ref, if they're of a wrestling background, just snaps and beats the hell out of them, right? And just goes nuts. And it's like, I've had enough of you. Boom, boom, boom. And then you have a match where obviously the ref loses. But if it's someone like that with a fighting background, I think that's a cool angle.
TNA did it with Shane Sewell. You remember?
I do not remember this.
He was like, it played out kind of like that, but then not a problem, I guess, but the idea was to keep him then as a wrestler. He would come out in like a black and white striped vest top that was like a carry-on from his referee days. He was just, you're making me so mad. But then he kind of stuck at it as a wrestler, and rather than just going back to being a referee, which I think was the problem really. But it's a cute thing when the referee first bursts out. And
Rick Knox is a good example.
Knox,
from PWG doing dives and stuff.
Yeah.
But then like you could just go back to being a referee, but now no one knows not to mess with you.
Yeah.
And it's like you're the Undertaker of referees.
That'd be so funny if he became a referee.
Imagine that.
That's Mark's next step.
I mean, you can always tell when Old Take needs a bit of dough, can't you?
Undertaker and Layla Hirsch wearing the Property of the Performance Center t-shirts as they start their referee training on the same day.
Similar people.
I think Layla Hirsch could kick his ass.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think she could kick his ass.
If you ever read up about Layla Hirsch's upbringing and stuff,
she's for real.
Yeah, she's a badass. She lived through some stuff. But yeah, hey, thank you for joining us on this video right here. That's us for the day. But if you want to see us talking about Ozzy Osbourne, WWE Hall of Famer, rest in peace, you can click this video that's on the screen right now. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.